Hinge?
Did we match on Hinge?
I'm going straight there.
Do we need to
I don't.
Do we
No,
match?
possibly.
Was it
You
Hinge?
did.
Oh,
No,
there we
did
go.
we?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because you
That's my
told
intro.
right.
Is it rolling or?
It's rolling. Always rolling. Like, that was a good
Yeah,
love it.
possibly. I loved dating
Yeah.
on like dating platforms.
Yeah.
I loved it. I
Yeah,
loved
me
the
too.
experience.
Yeah.
How long were you dating for? Like on
About 4 years.
Yeah, same. On and off.
On and off.
Dating burnout.
No, I was just, it just became like just chat line, really.
Yeah,
You just
Yeah.
swipe in for the sake of it.
yeah.
You know?
I didn't have all great experiences, but I loved the experience in general.
Yeah.
And I think people often blame the application or the platform for its bad experience, but it's not the platform, it's them. Like
Yeah.
the person using the platform is the problem. It's not.
Yes.
It's because they're not sure about their agenda, as in why they're using the platform in the first place, and they blame it.
And it gets addictive too.
Yeah, it does.
That's why I brought you both. Sorry, that's why I brought you both on because you know you guys have experienced it, obviously.
Well, Vivienne not so
Vivienne's-
much because
yeah.
Vivienne's
Yeah.
not a serial dater like myself. So
I'm not. I'm on the other end. I'm like, I do not like dating apps.
no
whatsoever.
dating apps. No, I did for like on and off for about 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. But like I said, it becomes addictive.
It does, but then you
Becomes-
get that real dating burnout where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so exhausting.
Yeah. Same questions.
Same questions,
Yes.
relaying the same questions. I actually came up with I thought a cool process for myself because I wanted to like just get right quickly into that. So it was, texting, let's change the platform, let's actually normal text. And then it was, I had to FaceTime you. I had to make sure that you were real, that, you looked like that person, that you weren't catfishing me. And then,
There's a lot of that.
yeah. I was catfished so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. And I thought,
Is it their age? Was it their age?
the whole thing, the whole kit caboodle was going on. It was not their age per se, and there was ones on there that misled on their age, and they would tell me the truth when I had seen them in person. But it's one instant example that I'd open the door and I was like, wow, you are like 10 years older, 10 kilos heavier. Your hairline's receding. I'm a hairdresser, so I love a bald man. I love a man with a full head of hair. I'm not biased to hair in general, but I am biased to honesty, right?
Yeah. No judgment.
No judgment,
Yeah. Did you get dinner at least?
I did. Well, I
Yeah.
stayed because he had prepared dinner.
You felt sorry.
I did.
Oh,
I was
you
like,
prepared
no,
dinner.
I was hungry, so I was like, I need to eat. You've prepared dinner. I'm going to stay for the meal, and I really enjoy sharing a meal with the opposite sex, right? And in this one instant, and I actually rocked up in my pajamas. I was like, we're gonna like go real cool and easy, right?
What, at his house?
at his house.
Easy.
Oh, God bless
At
her.
his house, legitimate. And
In
I
pajamas.
yeah, and
Poor bloke.
I'm ready for my sleepover.
Sorry, this is Clay. Sorry, I got to do an intro.
Good.
Oh yeah, well yeah. So have you were single for a while,
I was 2.5, or after my relationship, 2.5 years.
and that's why you know what you do now. You're again therapist, like a relationships therapist.
Yeah, I've done my stint on dating apps as well. I got off them because I became really toxic with them. You were saying a lot of people have bad experiences because of who they are. I agree. I think first off, dating apps aren't dating apps anymore. They're kind of like social platforms now, right?
They are.
They're kind of like another version of Instagram in a way where it's more forthcoming.
to me, the application like Tinder, for example, is a fantastic application to use because you can get on there within about 3 minutes. You don't need to leave a blood sample to get on these things, right? And you are actively talking to the opposite sex or trying to find what you want to get by Saturday night, but people still tend to blame the application.
It's because I think it's kind of like anything. It makes you more of who you are.
Yeah.
If people say money makes you evil, I think it just makes people more who they are, reveals them to themselves.
100%.
It's like a gun. You can save someone's life with it, or you can take someone's life with it.
But the gun is not the problem, it's the person pulling the trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people aren't, if you're upfront with it, like it's one thing to say, I'm looking for someone, and then if you begin dating them, you very quickly find out they just wanted sex. That's bullshit. If that's what you want, that's so fine.
That's right.
Communicate that
That's
part.
right, exactly.
And I did that in my experience on there, but where it got dehumanizing for me and somewhere that I had to get off was because I ended up finding what worked in terms of texts. So I ended up creating templates where
Strategies.
and because your bio says, I'm not going to lie, I'm on here to have fun. If, you're into this, let's chat. If not, all good, essentially. And when we'd matched, obviously I know they've agreed to whatever's in my bio, so
That's
to some
right.
extent they know what they're in for. So I had this really good opener. I can remember it something along the lines of like, hey, just want to be transparent. Obviously we've matched. It was something like, I want to tie you up, not tie you down, yada yada.
That's fantastic.
And
I like
they would
that.
reply so quick, like it was funny, it was cheeky, it was innocent, it was upfront, and it would work. But it just got same old
It's
after
manipulation,
copy-paste.
right? You're
Yeah.
manipulating people.
Yeah,
right?
I found
Because
a-
if you've found a strategy
course.
that works, then you're
And I was doing the
literally
same.
manipulating people.
Yeah, well, it's conscious manipulation, and I actually like that word because it was, and I believe there's such a thing as healthy manipulation when it's conscious and it's with a win-win intent in mind. Because again, the intention was there in the beginning, but just because it worked, it doesn't mean it's necessarily right. And that's where after a while, even though it would be beautiful experiences and we'd both walk away happy and content from it, after so many, you kind of go, like, humans are humans, like this, but there's this program I'm throwing at them and it just works, and it's like, where does this get me, and what does it do to my soul? So for me, I was like, that's enough.
I would encourage people to get onto dating apps. People that are, finished divorced and they want to go and pump their ties up for the blokes, no offense, but maybe their wife cheated on them and they don't feel good enough and they think, am I ever going to pick up again and whatever. I would always encourage, say, go on there, pump your ties up, get the attention, the validation that you need.
Jump in the ocean.
But at least
It's
being-
boosting ego, right?
Yeah,
It's boosting
absolutely.
your self-esteem.
You do learn a
Yes,
lot.
And
your
they're being-
self-esteem.
But you'd sort of talk to people on the same level as well, like going for the same stuff.
Well, you're
You're
being
being good
human. You're being human. We all need
Yeah.
reassurance and validation at some point.
I think it's a great place if you go on there with the intention to be transparent and honest too. You get rewarded for it because a lot of men, so some of the men I work with, they're so afraid of being classified or cast out as a misogynist or was controlling with their partner, to the point where a recent situation with a client is his wife said, "Are you happy if I wear this out?" And it was quite a revealing sort of ties, and he wasn't, but he said yes. I was like, first off, your woman's intuition isn't dumb. She knew that you weren't comfortable. You said it anyway, so that creates like, a break in terms of integrity, yada yada. But he was afraid to say it to his wife. So what I encourage men to do is always just be honest and transparent. And if they go on a dating app, like you're saying, and they're just upfront and honest, and they then get rewarded for it, they get matched healthy behavior from the opposite sex, and they're like, hey, I appreciate this. I want this too. They're going to go, holy shit, I'm allowed to express what I want, what my needs are, and I'm okay for doing it. I'm not an asshole.
Yeah.
And a lot of men need that, especially after, shitty situations in relationships.
Do you think you find that the men out there aren't feeling allowed to show their vulnerability?
Oh,
100%.
Do you know what I mean? But if it's coming from a male, then they're a little bit more receptive and be like, oh, okay, you're a bloke. I can be like that too, and rather than coming from the woman,
this
right?
is the whole vulnerability side of things. This is what I was talking about. When you feel someone you can be vulnerable, that's what we really want.
Yeah, but I mean, for us, it's the sexiest thing alive.
Yeah, but it's that protection, isn't it? Because a lot of girls do play with emotions as well.
Absolutely.
It's conditioning as well.
Yeah.
Men have not been able from a young age to be able to express, their emotions. So how can you ever be vulnerable with someone if you've
all
never
social
learned
grooming,
how to express any kind of emotion?
Yeah.
Be a man, suck it up, don't cry, kind of thing.
There's two major things working against most men nowadays in terms of being able to be vulnerable and express their feelings. The first one is what you just alluded to, is we've been told to be a man. Men don't cry, toughen the fuck up. What's the stick, swallow some concrete? All these analogies and conditioning and socializing as young boys were taught what a man is. And a man is a very rigid rock. And I even use the analogy with men, like be a rock in amongst her storms. When your partner's emotionally out of control and he's attacking you, even though it's not right, learn to be a rock and be sturdy in amongst the storm. But what does a rock imply? It's cold, hard, emotionless. And that's working against a lot of men. But they're not emotional because, one, they're told not to be, and that's not how a man is. The second thing is it's something women need to be accountable for, and it's when they use a man's emotions and vulnerabilities against them. And it's not women that do that only, but it's a common thing that women tend to do more often than men. A man will be vulnerable and say, this is where I'm weak. And it looks like honey, I don't like when you dress like that in men. It makes me feel insecure. And or they'll do it even worse. They'll say, I didn't like the way that, you know, he was looking at you and you looked at him back. It's communicating vulnerably but very weakly. And there's a difference between communicating authentically and communicating standards and boundaries versus I'm just weak and I don't want this without any reason or logic or, you know, two-way communication. And yeah, men first off have that conditioning of be tough. And then when they do finally find the courage to be vulnerable, 2 weeks later, their partner and him in an argument, she's saying, you're a bitch because this. And he gets so punished for being vulnerable. And then if that happens to a man, he will never, ever be vulnerable again with his partner.
I put my hand up saying that women are the master of manipulation.
Absolutely.
We are. I love Viv. She calls it out. It's fantastic.
We do.
Yeah. And I see the other side with the guys.
Yeah.
It's like, you pricks, man. You know?
Yeah. When Viv brought it to my
They're
attention,
no gentlemen anymore.
I said, oh, no, I don't think I'm like that, Viv, actually. And then I was like, let me think about that. And I thought about my ex-husband. And I said, oh, no, hell yeah. I know. I tell him things that I know because I know him so well. I was together for 10, married for 5, 2 kids later. I know how the conversation needs to go and the tone of language that I need to bring to the table to get exactly what I want. And I'm like, yeah, I'm manipulative.
Yeah, you guys
I've said to Michelle,
that's what hurts.
I've actually had conversation with girlfriends, including Michelle, about, you know, we talk about men being players. Women are the finest at being players. Like we know how to play the game. If we want to, we
absolutely.
We are the queens of manipulation.
Oh yeah.
All
we
humans.
sort of like it sometimes too. Sorry.
No, but the thing, the thing
like it
is
in a
that I don't
sicko way.
think that when you're so good at it, men don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
You actually don't know how good women are at it.
Is that because you get emotionally? When you get in there, it doesn't matter what you do here.
I think it's because we purely do this, like, we are purely more emotional creatures.
Yeah, which is lovely. That's why we love you.
Yes, but maybe you guys are more reactive in your, like, actions, in a sense. But in saying that, humans are always intentional. We always know what we're doing, whether you want to admit it or not, but we always do. You know your shortcomings. You know your shortcomings. I know mine, but the difference is, are you going to tell the other person?
Well, when you call it on yourself, then you laugh at the other. You're like, oh, come on.
I think we have to tell ourselves first, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I'm an asshole sometimes. I'm a lot sometimes. I'm manipulative sometimes.
I acted like this because of this.
That's right.
Yeah, if you call it out, and that's what you sort of talk about, like the couple you spoke about before, about you help them break up. Well, you call it out.
Yeah. It's interesting. A lot of people are aware of their intentions, but where it becomes dangerous is when we're not, or when we lie to ourselves.
It's the subconscious, right? It's the subconscious patterning that most of us don't know we're operating from those states of being, right? And so what you did was bring light, the light of awareness to them, to show them something that they didn't actually see.
Yeah. So
when you're saying about that, we're intentional, but I think that quite often we're operating unconsciously.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of what we
scared.
do is from unconscious programming. And even when it is conscious, a lot of the time it's shrouded in shame or guilt. Like we want, particularly men, like they might say, I want my partner to be more sexy or more conservative, but whatever it is, like they're either extreme. They're too ashamed or worried for the criticism or the titles that they'll get to say what they really want. And therefore their intentions are concealed, which breaks two of the most pivotal rules for a healthy relationship, which is communication and honesty. So if we can't even be honest about what we really want and desire, how the fuck do you ever expect to have a healthy relationship?
Exactly.
It's doomed from the beginning because you can't be honest.
Shame and guilt are the deepest emotions for anyone to ever tap into. Like when we think about healing ourselves, it's the places that we don't want to go because it's so deeply rooted within us.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of conscious.
Do you think it's the hardest place to move forward from? The shame and the guilt?
To tap into. I think it's the hardest to tap into. Once you go to that level of depth, then you know what?
It's only up from
it's
there.
only up. It is only up from there. It's like hitting rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
If you think of the guilt, shame is actually like in regards to vibration and frequency, it is the lowest emotional frequency.
The levels of consciousness, right?
Yes.
Yeah, shame's absolute rock bottom.
Yeah.
If you're
Shame is rock bottom, and then you have guilt. which is above that. So if you can tap into that, hit rock bottom and deal with your shame and your guilt and face that, then it's only up from there.
A lot of the men I work with, I'm different in that I don't do the stereotypical relationship healing stuff. When I get a man that want to work with me, we heal their trauma. And 99% of the time, when you heal their trauma, you heal the man, and therefore you heal the relationship. And guilt and shame is literally the last two negative emotions we work on healing and releasing.
Right.
And we'll do anger, we'll do sadness, we'll do fear. And the man has monumental change, and he's released, and he's already showing up better in the relationship. But when we do guilt and shame, the most profound changes happen.
Rebirthing.
Yeah, and these men come out and they're able to communicate with their partner because they're not ashamed about what they want to communicate. They don't feel guilty about what they've done, so they can freely show up now and own what they've done.
Yeah.
Like, because one of the biggest problems men have is being able to apologize for the way they fucked up, because by admitting it and apologizing for it, it means they accept that it's true.
Yeah.
And if you remove the guilt from that and they show up and own it, the woman typically, again, 9 times out of 10 goes, oh my God, I have a fucking man now, not a boy. And he's owning his shit. And therefore, one of the 3 major requirements of fulfilled in a relationship for a woman is the future looks better than the past.
Yeah.
And therefore, she wants to stay now.
Yeah.
Whereas if the future looks like it's going to be worse than the past, she's fucking out.
Yeah. And do you think that's where men hold the most weight, is the shame and the guilt and not being able to be authentic and truthful?
So in some of the practices I've learned, that, as I said, we do like things like anger, sadness, fear, and then it's only then after we've cleared those major negative emotions that we're free and able to release things such as shame. Because as you said, shame is the lowest on the levels of consciousness, and if you think about it, we've all got things we're ashamed of doing. I've thankfully been in a safe space of men where we were allowed to release our shame. We all agreed that we're going to say the deepest, darkest shit that we've done in our life. And in this circle, there was men that admitted to rape. There was men that admitted to being raped, that they were ashamed out. There was gay men that had been raped by a group of gay men. It was the most grotesque, darkest stuff, but it was a safe container to release that. And these men that were there to release it, like, you would never have expected it to happen to them. But when they did, they cried and they shook. Their body just was uncontrollably
Are these
letting
like
go.
containers that you hold? Is that what you're saying?
The containers I will hold.
Yeah.
This was my first one attending.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a really beautiful workshop ran by a friend. And Corey Boutwell, actually, is his name. So he's a coach in the space. He helps run these retreats for men to go release things like this. And in the shame circle, or shame release circle, it was a safe space for men to go and admit their shame. And there's this whole concept of, when you get seen in your power, you get to own it. And what we repress or suppress, we essentially manifest. It will continue to come up, and the deeper we press it down, the more it impacts us. I liken it to a beach ball. The beach ball's like a trauma. If you're out in the ocean, you can push the beach ball on the water and keep it hidden, but fuck, it takes some energy. And now if you imagine a lifetime of holding that there,
Multiple beach
balls, multiple traumas, multiple shames, multiple guilts, you're adding to them over time. You can hide them. It's going to be exhausting, but you can hide them. But the moment a wave comes, a situation in life, and knocks you, they all pop up, and it's at the most inappropriate time. It's the most difficult time, and you react instead of respond, which is another key thing that ruins a lot of relationships.
How long does it take for someone?
Brother, you can release a lifelong shame in as little as 10-15 minutes if you're willing to do the work and go through the process. It can take an hour, it can take 2 hours.
What do you do for that?
For me, what I do is, it's a process called timeline therapy. So I learned it from its founder, Ted James, which is he's since passed. But it's a process of actively going back to the root cause of the event, which is important, and you know a lot about this. And it's a lot of people, when they do therapies or practices, they band-aid the issue, or talk therapy, they learn how to talk around the issue and cope with it. Whereas I think it's a lot of shit. Go back and remove it. Like, if there's a splinter in you, you don't put a band-aid over it, you pull it out. So
Therapies make excuses.
And a lot of Western medicine's like that, right? It's always the Band-Aid solution. Pop a pill. Here you go. Take a pill.
And then you need a pill for the symptoms of that pill.
That's right.
And you get told what you have. And this is what they do it to kids now.
Yeah, the labelling.
Once you're in the system, man, and you get told, I see it.
I think it depends what system they're trying to benefit. So if you're trying to benefit pharma can't treat healthy people, so that's just,
you're not a client then, are you?
Exactly. So do they really want us to be not depressed?
That's all part of the depopulation process.
Are they trying to kill us off, Dan? You think is that what's happening?
Us all. Food, vaccinations. You
Clay-
know it.
We could go
Kids'
deep
mental
right
health.
here.
Get on the
So
system. Here you go. You have this problem. Like I said, this is why I do labour hire. There's no young workers. They're all come in 20 years and under with mental problems.
Yeah.
Because they've been told that. And they're on drugs, the band-aid. So when they get to our ages,
They're like
how are they going to deal with
fish.
the emotions,
Yeah.
anger and all that? How?
But I think because it just we're better groomed these days because of social media and all this information at our fingertips.
Information age,
I don't know
yeah.
your age, Clay, but like all like you look younger than us. That's why I'm saying it. So
And he's gorgeous.
got a
isn't he?
secret, let me know. But like
He's younger than us.
we didn't have the internet. Like we had phones that looked like bricks, and like we had to like. If I said to you, I'll see you tomorrow, I literally would see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not I'll text you in
Landline.
5 seconds.
Landline with a cable.
Yeah, landline. And then you go under the breakfast bench and just have the conversation under there.
That was the hide from your
Hide
parents.
from your parents.
Boyfriends. That's right.
Remember
So
when
we-
your
on the other
parents
line.
would pick up someone
Yeah.
to pick
Yeah,
up on
yeah,
the other
yeah,
line?
yeah, We're so old. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The young people have no idea.
And we had record players.
Exactly. And encyclopedias and
CDs. Oh my goodness,
Road maps
changing
too.
music in the
Road
car.
maps.
I remember finding like
Saint
the street directories.
Gregory's
Yeah,
or Gregory's?
The street
whatever.
directory, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just sort of find every street. You go, what the hell is that?
I still can't read a map.
Sorry,
for my
we
life.
drifted
Yeah, I
there.
know. We
No,
definitely
I'm with
do.
you.
That's what I do, man.
I caught
just
the very
goes-
back end of this.
No, because what you're saying, well, okay, obviously you help men ages from how old? Basically.
Oh, I've worked with children.
Okay.
Yeah, so as long as you can consciously do the process that I guide someone through, they can do it. Yeah.
So
So
how young do you go? How young do you like?
the youngest I've probably look, I've got a 6-year-old boy. I've done time and therapy work with him because I'm a father, but by no means am I perfect. I've absolutely lost it at him and over punished. I over love as well. So I'm a big believer in punishment, and then if you punish, you love to and explain. But
See, what's that? Is that like a? See, that's sort of push and pull as well. See, how do you like when you punish and you love?
The
Does that
balance.
cause? Because I do the same.
I
you
think
know, like-
punishment without love and I think loving, understanding, and perspective is the answer. When we have perspective and the lessons from an event, so this is actually a part of the process. So when we do a trauma healing, right, the very kindergarten grade level explanation of it is that you go back to the root cause of the event. When you're there, you to some degree associate, then dissociate from it. So you can objectively watch it happen as though it's not you.
You're the witness. You're the
You're the
witness
witness,
to it.
and in that process, there's this temporal thing in our brain. So our brain doesn't know the difference between time. If you close your eyes and begin to imagine a particular memory, if you imagine it vividly enough and long enough, you'll begin to feel that again. And it's not because you're doing that; it's because your brain is thinking that it's real. It's the same reason we can watch a movie.
It doesn't recognize the difference. Right?
100%. We all watch horror movies and we know they're fake, but it scares the
Still-
life out of
yeah,
us.
yeah.
So the brain, if you can actually take it back to an event and then go a little bit before it, technically that event's never happened in your brain. And then if you objectively look at it in a dissociated way and learn from it, what happens is your brain does one or two things, or your body, better yet, your unconscious mind. When there's a trauma, the reason we remember the feelings and so vividly get triggered in the future, because we almost died in that moment. It was a majorly perceived threat to our brain. So it remembered all the information at that given point in time and made a snapshot of what happened and what needs to happen to prevent it from happening again in the future. So if we got abused as a kid, in the future, we don't need someone to abuse us to get a traumatic response. We just need someone to look like the abuser. We just need someone to raise their voice enough that would then tell our brain this could lead to this. So things get pulled together that aren't associated with the trauma, but that even look like 1% of what it could be the trauma, and we have this traumatic, inappropriate response. So if we can actually learn how to not have that trauma instead, what happens is our body safely drops the emotion, so we don't have the negative reaction, and we can have a conscious response instead. So it's either emotions or lessons. And when we replace the emotions with lessons, we actually remove the trauma. We don't forget about it. We don't lose the lessons from it, but we do lose the emotions from it. And we're then free from it in the future. So, say if there was a victim of violence, anything that's closely associated with violence in the future, they'll get triggered from, or they'll react to. Whereas if they learn the lessons, which might have been that, oh wow, I should never have been around that person in the first place. And also I was a kid, so I had to be in that environment. Your brain can actually drop all that and instead recognize these particular people with these traits are violent people. And I'm going to, at a gut level then, know to stay away from them. And that's when intuition comes in. So we allow our intuition to act instead of our gut, which is based on the past. Yeah. We can instead act on knowledge and lessons and understanding.
It's resetting yourself, isn't it?
It's very much.
It is very much. It sounds like family constellation or matrix reprinting.
Oh, 100%. Okay.
Yeah, because that was my biggest breakthrough trauma therapy that I've ever done is matrix reprinting and family constellation. Yeah. From sexual abuse, from DV, going back in and just, I guess, re-looking at it a different perspective and learning the lesson. And I went in as me now to my younger self to say, hey, it's not going to look like that and you're going to be okay and all that kind of stuff. And then the biggest lesson was I could retell that story within like 10 or 15 minutes, maybe an hour, like I was reading the newspaper because I was no longer emotionally attached to it.
Yeah.
That was my absolute favorite.
It's profound because people almost don't realize how profound it is sometimes because you could probably speak to this. After it, they'll be like, if it's a phobia, for example, a spider phobia, I've helped someone before, they couldn't look at it on a phone. Like a spider on a phone would freak them out. After we'd done this trauma healing process with the spiders, he was scrolling, like this guy was scrolling through his phone. He's like, I don't know if the trauma's gone. Like, I think it is. I was like, bro, you couldn't look at a spider before. And I was like, let's prove it yourself. So we went outside, and again, if there was a spider there, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And he was literally playing with the web, touching it to see how it would react. And he's going, oh. He's like, I don't know if I'm still traumatized because it scares me. I was like, I think that's a healthy response to be scared.
Yeah.
When you're that close to a spider that could bite you. And he was like, he registered. He was like, oh my God. And his girlfriend thankfully came and was like, honey, you're different.
Especially when some of them can be venomous and kill you, right? So you want to have that fear still.
There's a difference between a trauma response and healthy fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could remove a trauma response to a lion, but you'd still be afraid if there's a lion in the room. I
know someone who's afraid of clouds.
Clouds?
Yeah.
It might get rained on.
Yeah.
Cloud seeding.
People have crazy phobias. Circles.
Really?
Circles.
Anything with circles.
Yeah. There's this whole interesting concept because there's a million therapies out there, and funnily enough, out of all the ones I've heard, I haven't heard either of them to you. So I'm going to go
Tanya
study that.
Sava.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She'll tell you all about it.
So Tanya is my friend that I was telling you.
Oh, yes.
You need to have on here.
Yes.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Really?
I've done not heaps of therapy, but many years on and off. But that was definitely, and she was with us on Saturday night, and I made the effort to remind her just how much her therapy has been the biggest help for me.
Yeah, it redirects the direction of your life.
Family constellation, they actually use that in a lot of courts, and it's recognised by courts to solve murders, and it's simply about putting yourself in that person's energy, and then you're flipping around and you're being another character. And it's almost like solving murders and talking to that other person. And I did that within my family dynamics, and boy, did it change. And Tanya recorded me doing it, and she was crying and I was crying and everyone was all crying. It was like a phantom character over there, which was a family member of mine, but it's very well known in courts. It's so powerful.
How they do that?
So, what do you mean, in courts?
Yeah.
So if the victim is, traumatized, they try to put themselves into the abuser's shoes to understand where they're coming from, and again, trauma.
And it goes back to their okay.
That's right. So
isn't that a level of empathy? Isn't that what empathy is? Being able to put yourself in somebody else's.
I guess with all the blocks taken away though, maybe to break those.
That's what I do.
Because I think that I know that for my healing with trauma, of abuse, being reared in having a violent upbringing and being sexually abused, being able to heal from that and get to a place of forgiveness. I had to have empathy for my perpetrators.
But a level of understanding too, where they...
Well, that's what empathy is, right? Empathy is being able to understand.
Yeah. True understanding always leads to empathy, I say.
You give them the reason.
It's not necessarily... And a lot of people don't like to say that or admit that because they think empathy means that it's okay.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
They think that's for forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
If I forgive someone, well, then I make that okay what they did to me. And that's not what it's about at
forgiveness is a selfish thing. It's not about them, it's about you.
Of course. Absolutely. It's about freeing yourself.
There's that saying, I hope I do this justice, but I think something like the concept of holding onto a grudge for somebody or not forgiving them is like holding onto a hot coal and getting ready to throw it at them.
Yes.
In the process, you still get burnt too.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is definitely a process of letting go of the negative emotions, and to do that, you need, as we said earlier, perspective or some form of understanding. And when you get that, you can't help but go, "Fuck, I probably would have done the same in their shoes. Maybe not the same, but I can at least understand how they got there." And with understanding comes empathy, and with empathy comes freedom, essentially. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about that is, look, I love crime investigations.
Women do love
and
crime.
like,
You got to get. Do you know that reason why?
We're the biggest PIs.
I
Taboo.
freaking
Women.
I love
Women
it. You
like
know
taboo.
why? It's the psychology.
Yes,
right? I
what
want
is
to
that?
get into like when people have like serial killers and things like that. I want to get into their head.
Yeah.
Why though?
Why?
Why?
And this comes back to the whole root. You know, like being able to try to get into a place of empathy for these people that have done horrendous things in life, right? People are quick to judge. They're quick to judge and go, that person killed somebody, blah, 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 for whatever reason. I try to go back and understand why.
Yeah.
What made them that way to
Yeah.
do that?
I think people that point the finger like that and say, "How could they do that?" I think there's always fingers pointing.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
And-
Have you
and-
watched The Shadow Effect?
Probably in my
Because
time.
that's where I'm
Yeah, that's
from.
definitely that's not original.
I
That's not
love,
my thing.
love that. Yeah.
But I think to the degree that you think you can't do something is to the degree that you're hiding from something,
Yeah.
or there's shame or guilt around it.
The shadow
because
aspect. Yeah.
I could, I'll just say it, like I could absolutely kill somebody happily and live at peace and sleep like a baby with it if it was under the right conditions.
Absolutely.
I couldn't do it
Environment,
to
the
someone innocent.
circumstance, Yep.
But if somebody broke into my house and I had not only my partner and my children in there, but friends as well, it doesn't need to be that many, it's just my partner. If someone breaks into my home, they have then surrendered the right to safety and security because I don't know what they're willing to do with my family now. So at that point, you're left with a decision, right? Let's say it's a junkie who's had a hard life and they need something, they now know where you live and they now know you're a person of wealth. What are the chances if you fight them off and they get out that they're going to come back to you again if they see all this money in your house? In my mind, I can't help but think you're a threat and you're an ongoing threat. I need to eliminate the threat to protect my family. It's an inborn trait that we as men have to want to protect. And the ultimate form of protection is just eliminate. And if I had to, I can honestly say I'd sleep fine with it. I'm not saying that I would, but if I had to, I could. And
You know, with people that judge when it comes to people that have murdered, I pose this question to people, especially if you're a parent. Would you kill for your child? Again, the right circumstances, right? Every person that has a child will say, yes.
yeah, without batting an eyelid.
I wouldn't, for sure, kill someone to protect my child. So if the circumstance is right, well, then you're willing to kill somebody. You know, so therefore, we are quick to judge people not even knowing the story.
Yeah, and it's because people like to put this white picket fence around themselves and pretend that they're of, certain values and...
I'm a good person.
What's that? Glass houses? Throw stones in glass houses. Is that the same? Yeah. They judge, but
The more we're aware of our darkness and our capability to be, in our darkness, I think the better a person we are then. Because if we're denying something and hiding from it, we're vulnerable to it then. If you don't look at something and see how you could get there, you're susceptible to it then. Whereas if you're aware what you're walking into and what you're capable of, it's then a choice to be the way you want to be. And you're aware, like, there's this ability to want to attack or fight. If you're not aware that's there or you deny it's there and you get in a position where, like you said, environment, someone triggers you in the wrong way or you let your trauma pop up at an inappropriate time and these beach balls come up.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're in jail because you've done something wrong. You're like, how did I do that? It's
Yeah.
because you hid from all this stuff and denied it exists.
The more it resists, the more you resist something, the more it persists. So own your shadow, own your darkness, like in the spiritual, philosophy of yoga is loving all aspects of self. Right? It's not just the light. People talk about this love and light. Let's be a good person. And, spiritual bypassing, it's a thing, right? So people on the spiritual path can kind of deny the darker aspects of themselves. Oh, I don't get angry. Man, anyone that turns around and says, "Oh, I get run,
Run the other way.
run for the
do
fucking
yoga every
hills."
morning.
Yeah.
You know, like I am so
So-
terrified of people that say that they don't get angry.
They're the ones abusing you 6 months into a relationship
Yeah.
because you're not doing what they want and you're not as spiritual as them.
That's right.
That's true, actually.
You know, well, you know. So what I
Depends.
mean, I shared last time I was on here, like my trauma, my anger. Like I had so much anger, and I was deemed bad for it. My circumstances were the reason why I was so angry. And then I was deemed bad. And then I was like, oh no, I can't be bad. I can't be angry.
Yeah.
I can't express that emotion. And then the more I tried to shove it down, guess what? The more it fucking came up, you know, the more it
Is that
came.
why you like your crime shows and you have empathy? That's why you can.
Yeah,
That's why you
maybe.
like it because of what you've got.
I do, and I
You
do
try to
have
give a reason
empathy for
why. You want people to
those
see that
people, you
reason
know,
why
because
you
I
watch.
try to come back to this root cause, like why? Because I think that at the heart of each and every person on the planet, you know, there's goodness.
Positive intention.
You know what I mean? Like there's goodness in everyone. It's inherent
Also,
to us.
getting judged by your own circumstances without people understanding why you're reacting, or you know, for environmental, you know, aspects and that.
Yeah.
And you,
And
and you become non-judgmental.
Yeah, but you know, for the longest time, I didn't have the skills or tools to be able to process my anger. I didn't know what to do with it. It was a big emotion, so therefore I just.
That's a perfect example of what a lot of people, but women in particular, go through is they don't have the tools to process this. They don't have the technology on how to handle the emotions. No one's got a handbook. And on top of it, as a woman, typically you're told it's wrong to be angry.
That's right.
Or you're made out to be a hard ass or a ball buster if you have all this aggression and anger. So it's like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And then you end up just being fucked.
Yeah.
You end up
Pleasant
depressed,
feel.
miserable, you end up on medications, and you're left with questions going, what do I do? Until you eventually, or life brings circumstances about to help you go, hold on, this is okay. I'm allowed to process these emotions, and in fact, I fucking need to. And it's okay to do it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my living for the last 23 years is doing that, empowering women to feel, and actually not just women, you know, men show up on the mat as well, but it's predominantly women. Feel it,
Yeah.
own it. It's okay, you know, you have permission to feel your feelings. And I think that embracing the shadow is that.
Yeah.
Just loving your whole self, the
What is
light
that?
and the darkness.
And the body, this is an interesting concept I've discovered recently. The body doesn't know the difference between good and bad emotions. It just knows emotion. We label them. Our body doesn't.
It's vibration.
To
That's
speak,
all that it is.
yeah, and to go spiritual with it, if there's a God or whatever our creator is, it gave us access to these as well. Like, it wasn't dumb and accidentally went, whoops, I dropped some anger in there and left it. We have access to that for a reason. Things like anger are so fucking healthy for us. And I talk to a lot of the men in relationships, they say, I shouldn't be angry. She hates when I get angry. I go, no, she doesn't. She hates when you're aggressive. She loves it when you're angry, because angry, you can communicate.
That's
and you're angry
right.
because a standard, a value, or a principle has been disregarded or not respected, and it's an opportunity to get close.
I hate the opposite of angry, which is silent.
Oh.
Do not go silent on me. Do not stop talking to me.
Yeah, because what happens too is when you go silent, you start the judge-victim cycle where one withdraws, and then I was the judge type, and I'm assuming you too. We go fucking communicate. I love you, and we with good intention are trying to fix it. Let's
right.
communicate now, get this over
right.
done with, so we can love each other, because I want your love.
And it
And they
allows the
withdraw
feminine-
more, and then we get more angry, and we fucking
And it allows the feminine side too, because that's what males want. They want to sort of have this, it's all right, it's all right. Isn't it? That's what we want, right? If you want to lose your stuff, it's nice to have that sort of calming.
But that's the safety
Yeah,
that a
that
goes back to
man
being
bonding,
provides
you
a
know?
woman, right? The masculine
Yes.
provides a woman. That is what the feminine
Feminine
wants,
wants.
right? Longs for safety.
We don't want to know that if
absolutely.
you actually
to know that, you know what, you are that rock when we lose our shit and we're so emotional on our period, you
which
know,
we are.
crying. And
But even if
whatever.
you don't know like what we're going to do to fix it, you just got to say it. Like, everything's going to be okay, and that's music to our ears. And we were able to fall and fall into someone's arms. 'Cause I don't know
Know that
I
we're
don't
gonna
care
be
about the
caught
why.
and held.
That's not important.
Yeah, is this the relationship problem, like with marriages now? Like, how many? Was it 75%?
You know the problem is, Dan.
divorce. I know what the problem is. We're trying to
No,
discuss.
we're all fucked.
This
And
is
this
it.
is the problem. We're all
Basically,
fucked.
we're all fucked.
No,
We all
We're
are.
generational fucked.
what
Exactly.
it is I agree, we're all fucked.
accept
A lot of people.
But I want to find the person that I want to be fucked with, and
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
you know what?
Get
Let's
your
just be
pajamas,
fucked
rock
together
up, like a gaslight.
and help each other and hold hands.
Yeah. Yes.
That's it.
Be vulnerable.
I fucked, you're fucked. Okay, let's go.
Yes.
Over here.
It's okay. We'll never
I hate
life
the
together
P
fucked.
Yeah.
I've been called the P word 1,000 times, which is fucking perfect. It's disgusting to me because I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. I don't want no one in the planet. Nothing is perfect
No.
at all.
Here's an interesting thing. So you've just said you've had a lot of men want to pander to you and say you're so perfect. There's nothing more unattractive to a woman when a man pedestalizes you as a woman. Some
I'm
women
the
like it
biggest
for a little bit.
pedestal.
Like I'm sure we all know women that are like, I want men to worship me. But guarantee you, if not a week, 6-7 weeks later, she hates that man and she's done with him and is ready for the next one because she's gotten that validation from him. He now has nothing to offer. Where's the next one until she one day comes across a man who says, fucking no, you worship me and I'll love you back as well. And she goes, oh my God,
Absolutely.
a man.
But see,
A man, exactly.
not a boy.
Man, yeah, and not a boy, right?
Yeah.
I'm hand up. I'll pedestal you. I pedestaled Viv when I met her, and I was like, "Am I
I
last?"
was a god.
I
Apparently.
literally thought, here's this
Wow.
yoga god, this woman shit stars, and and then I got to know her, and I thought,
I do shit stars,
Yeah,
babe.
You do.
Crazy.
She's so human. Hello.
Yeah.
My last relationship, I literally, 3 weeks in, I said, I think we're love bombing each other. Do you feel that? Because I'm love bombing the hell out of you.
What's that? Like just too much?
Too much.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I love you after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, we weren't dropping the L's, but it was a lot of
Close
like.
enough, yeah.
I like clinginess. I don't mind you being cling to me. I love togetherness.
Yeah. So what'd you get rid of it?
Codependency,
What'd you
that's
stop?
what
I
it's
was going to say,
called.
that's
What'd you stop?
That's a good question.
Think done. Done with you.
Can we not talk about that one? No.
You brought it up.
I know I did.
yeah. To put
Please
words
save
behind
it.
the love
Save
bombing
it.
thing.
We're going to talk about that later.
The definition of love bombing, because a lot of people throw that, it's a hot topic or a hot term used nowadays. Oh, he loved bombing. It's like, define love
I
bombing.
love it.
What love bombing is on a bad level, because like you could love someone a lot and it's not love bombing.
No.
When it becomes love bombing is when you are codependent, as you
Yes.
mentioned, when you become so overtly loving and almost controlling in a way, like I'm going to make you feel loved from me, and if you're getting love from over there, it's like, well, no.
Yes.
And then
Control.
when you as the love bomber feel like they are somewhat dependent on your love, you then typically the behavior is they step back a bit just
Yes.
to test and go, yeah, I've got you. That's love bombing.
Use that hook thing.
It's an unhealthy bullshit, and what that is, funnily enough, as we said before, we are all fucked and we all have different levels of fucked. That type of fucked is
Amen.
a abandonment trauma, and if someone
It
has
is.
abandonment issues, what they do is they say, I like this one. They love them enough to get their attention, and when they think they've got it, they need to test. And what happens is, until they heal their trauma, typically they become the judge in the relationship, and they test to the extent where you'll be on your knees begging and crying, saying, how do I fix it? I'll do whatever for you. And they're walking away saying, no,
Talking about
prove
my
yourself.
relationship, yeah.
And then when they finally walk away and say, we're done, you go, oh my God, that's when they'll go, wow, she begged me. Okay, I'll go back and I'll give her
Yeah.
another chance because I now know that you're willing to do anything for me. But it'll never be enough, and I'll
And
keep
particularly
testing.
works.
And what is
So
at
tiring.
the core of that is abandonment issues.
But anxious and
Typically with mum.
avoidance
Yeah.
Mum didn't love enough because dad
will
was
have
fucked.
the same core abandonment problems going on. Anxious and avoidance.
Yeah.
Like the avoidant runs away, the anxious goes, oh my God, where are you going?
Yeah.
We're both scared of being abandoned. So I'm going to break up with you before you can abandon me, because soon enough you're going to realize that I'm terrible.
Is
and
that
I
just
don't.
created though?
It's
That's
it's
that's
a
just
wound.
created. Like
Well,
you have
I
a
think it's-
relationship and then it's just this thing and then it's just, you know.
Well, I think it's childhood wounds that
Yeah,
It
it's-
also,
you know.
it's literally. I hate to
Layers
make it
and
so
layers.
simple, but it's always childhood trauma.
It always
Or-
You've
is.
created like self-sabotage sort of
Of
thing.
absolutely,
That's what I meant.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
It's like you do it to like when you fear something so much,
Yes.
you create it.
Yes.
manifest whatever. you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
But you're going
And
to
then-
kill it before it manifests into
Yeah.
something that you don't know about because they're so scared of the unknown,
You're the
right?
problem.
Yeah.
And that's why perspective is so important, because when you get outside perspective, you're not the fish in the water now, and you go, oh shit. Like a lot of people say, it's woo-woo to say what you fear or repress, you create and manifest. But it's like, if you actually see it from an outside perspective, it's
That's
so
right.
obvious how you do it. Someone who's afraid of being abandoned by their partner might overly love them and in the process suffocate them. And then their partner, they've manifested the situation where their partner's going, I need space. And then their trauma goes, I knew this would happen. They're abandoning me.
And
But
it's feeding the story, right? It
Yeah, the
continues
narrative.
to feed the story
And
time and time
that's
again.
one way it manifests. If someone has an abandonment issue, like we just mentioned, of their partner potentially leaving them, they can do it in another way where they might go, I'm going to be a tough macho, man. I'm not going to love her too much. That way I keep it, what is it? Treat him mean, keep him keen bullshit. And then in doing so, she goes, and starts giving other guys attention. He goes, "What? Like, see, I knew this was going to happen." And it's like, no, you created it yet again because you
That's
didn't love her
right.
enough.
That
Now.
is chasing.
And
That
it's
is
just
chasing.
it's always, and that's where it comes down. If you just communicate and be honest, the two
Yeah.
absolute necessary values for a long-term healthy relationship, you can't fuck it up because you might have tension or pain still, which is an unavoidable thing. Like life is synonymous with pain. It's just whether you face it now or later. And if you face it now with communication and honesty, you will experience it, aka the trauma that we're trying to avoid. But the thing is, it's on your terms. It's not a beach ball out in the ocean where you get hit with a wave and it pops up at the most inappropriate
And do you think
time.
people get stuck in their own perspectives, you know, almost into that victim mindset of like,
Absolutely.
you know, mine's worse, or this is always happens to me, and then it, you know, manifests this in that way.
It's worse.
Yeah, of
And they're in
course.
overlay video games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
typically
Or
the
porn,
longer
Off to porn.
Jacking off to weird
Yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah,
that's
weird
that's a problem
Sorry,
in the world right now.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well,
Vivi's revved up here, so
let's talk about
See,
that.
this
This is a real
this
problem,
is a problem.
in dating,
Massive.
especially this.
Because
I
everyone's
think
jacking
it's
off.
day and age.
man, or women too, obviously.
Oh, women. I think I said
More and more
before,
women.
Well, I mean, I think it's
Vibrators,
what
remember?
50-50 or something now. Men and women watching
Is
porn.
it? Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, like so when you come together like the old days, like doot 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 doot, mum, I'm on the phone. You know those days where you sort of your belly button rings, maybe not really showing much. You know, it was like a mystery. You meet each other, you do your thing. Now,
Well, I figured it was magazines.
right, Who magazines?
Yeah.
That's all we had back then.
TV,
Not you.
I don't know.
No, I got
Did
the
ya?
tail end
That
of
was
it.
it,
Yeah.
mate. One picture, one picture, and you just, car comes up the
Best and
driveway.
less.
Eject.
I don't know what I was doing. I don't think I was doing that.
No.
Oh, really?
I'm talking
No,
about
I
for
know.
guys,
Of
you know.
course.
like
You
they
probably
jerking
were
off to
doing that. Now the girls are doing it.
I started, to be honest, I started
Do you-
masturbating very late in my life.
Really?
Very late. I was
Yeah, me too, actually.
36.
God bless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I must have been in my
36.
30s as well.
36. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
We're not
that-
saying anything.
But awfully quiet.
No,
I was 16, 17, da, 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 da.
oh, so that's late. I was what, 9? Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
My
it was
son's
bad.
8. Don't say that.
Yeah.
You were 9?
Yeah, I was exposed to overly sexual stuff at a very young age.
Yeah.
Did you have an older brother?
No, I was the oldest. I remember being in kindergarten doing things. You know, Campbelltown, Claymore, a lot of bad upbringing stuff, and it was just almost. I don't entirely know why I've put a lot of thought to it, but it was just I was overly exposed to a lot real young, and there was mags when I did find them, and they were always there when I wanted to go find them again.
In the trucks down the road.
And because it was also made, you know what it was? It was made so taboo, and as kids we either accept or reject things, and because I was told to reject, I'd done the opposite, and I was like, no, I want to know.
Just
And
curious little Clay.
yeah, and it definitely caught a lot of my attention and energy as a young boy, and it led to very early sexual experiences, and it led to losing my virginity at 13, and it was.
How old was she? Was your age?
Yeah, it was a girlfriend actually. It was the day, but it was the day before my 14th birthday. It was an
Oh,
early
wow.
birthday present because she wouldn't see me on my 14th birthday, so it was
That's
present
kind.
beforehand.
Yeah,
it was cool. And you know the fucked up thing was talk about traumas. My mum walked into the house because we were alone and pretended that she didn't see it, so walked out and pretended to open the door again.
Oh my
I
god!
was
And it
caught
wasn't-
in the act on my first time
Yeah.
by the brother.
Oh
The
wow!
first
I
time I
walked
lost
in
my
on my son
virginity,
the first time.
I was
I feel
by the
you.
brother.
Hopefully you didn't pretend that
in
you
my
didn't see
high
it.
school skirt.
Oh no, we
like,
made eye
still-
contact.
See, yeah, I had the trauma of mum
Yeah.
pretending like she didn't, and then a week later, in an argument, was like, "I fucking know," and I was like, "You know what?" And she's like, "I know."
That's made it feel like it's a punishment. You know?
Yeah, it
Well-
was made to be taboo, and again, it's not a healthy way to express the sexual side of you. That at 13, when puberty's hitting, and you're going, "What the fuck is this?"
It's raging,
made wrong.
it's
So,
hard.
again, another problem with a lot of men, and shame and guilt is you can't express yourself sexually. It's wrong to want women. It's wrong to, what's the word I'm looking for here? To have certain desires of women because you're painting them a certain way.
I'm gonna apologise.
That should, yeah,
I
absolutely
remember when I
not.
wank up on my cousin when I was young. I remember he's mucking around, you wank, I went,
How do you know?
I'm a wank.
I'm exposed.
Oh, I felt so bad. Did it stop me?
No.
No, no. Mine and
I'll take that.
Dan, you're
I'm a
still a
wanker.
wanker.
He's right. Yeah, he's right.
But how do you feel that porn dealing with trauma, working with men with trauma, does porn come up a lot in your work?
hasn't for me. It's certainly come up when I've had conversations with people about it. It's definitely a major issue for a lot of men, and I think it's too big of a thing to try and paint with a broad brush. I think it would be pretty individualistic.
Case by case.
Yeah, like there's certainly general rules such as, and I'd probably say this is the overarching one. We're made wrong for wanting certain things in women. Like a woman, I'm sure you could attest to this. A lot of women probably say, I want a man that's 6 foot, earns over 6 figures, this, that, and their standards. That's the general place, right? And if a woman says that, it's okay. It's like, yeah, you go girl, you get what you want. But the moment a man says, I want a fit toned woman, she can't be fat. She has to want to look after herself. She has to be submissive and want to support my leadership. Yeah. Obviously, has to be reciprocal, and he has to support her and make her feel safe and loved to want to support him. But if a man says that he's misogynistic or controlling, like, why do you want a girl that's petite and feminine? Are you a creep? Are you a weirdo for wanting that? Why do you want a strong woman? It's like, hold on. I never said I wanted the weak woman. I said I want a feminine, submissive woman who will love and worship me as I will her. I would die for her. Yeah. And so I think the porn thing, to bring it back to that, is that men are made wrong for wanting things in women or having standards in women, because a lot of men are taught what to give a woman, but not what to expect from a woman. And I think because we're not allowed to have expectations of women, because masculinity is evil, men are shit, especially white men, there's this shame. And porn is such an easy outlet to get the outcome that you want. Whereas to get, like, I'm grateful. I can honestly say the partner I've got everything I wanted. She's beautiful. She's absolutely incredible. I had to fucking work for it. And it took a lot of conversations too to be able to comfortably say, this is what I expect. You do not have to do it. But just know there's no relationship, and it's not to threaten you. It's just, this is what I want, and I want this because it means we are protected. It means I will give to you no matter what. It means that our relationship will grow closer and closer because, you know, things like no matter what, we're always honest is a overarching principle. I have reasons for why these things are there. And because of that, I have what I want. Therefore, there's no urge for porn. I don't vilify it. Like, if you want it, fucking go for it. And in fact, it's a really good thing for some men because they're not in a position where they can go get the woman that they want. Like, they're just, we're equipped as men to be men, right? It's a pandemic.
In saying that, not to cut you off, sorry to cut you off, but in a sense of a man not being able to be equipped to get that version of that woman that he does desire, what part of that becomes unhealthy? And I'm only saying this from my own experience with my male friends who have addictions to escorts, and then they've gone out to the real world and gone on dates, but now they're no longer attracted to a normal, woman.
Yeah, because it actually changes their brain chemistry.
Yeah,
right. The addiction to porn.
Where else in life can you get the outcome that you want without putting the work in? Like very few areas, online porn. So you can, your brain, as we said earlier, doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So if you're in your head having a foursome with 3 beautiful women as a man, pulling your dick, your brain's like, look at all the work and effort I've put in to get this. As I am now, I can manifest this situation. Think if you're a caveman, you can't eat if you don't go hunt. You can't have sex if you don't put in the work to be an attractive man that a woman desires, to want to give your fantasies to. So our fantasies act as a barometer of who we are. And if we've, as men, have lived out our fantasies, it must kind of presuppose or imply to some degree that we're of value, that we're able to give so much to be able to ask so much. And sex or porn enables us to do, like, we can live essentially like a king, or do what only kings could do, a little while ago, with a click of a button now. And that's the issue, and that's the pandemic.
You've got so many options.
And then it rewinds our brain, as you said.
At your fingertips.
Everything.
Literally at your fingertips.
And this is the whole, we've had this conversation where, I've heard men addicted to porn, they're in their feminine energy, right? Because they're submissive.
And
they don't have to do anything.
Receiving.
There's no effort.
Totally
You think about a masculine, healthy masculine man. He gives. The woman is to receive, feminine is to receive, masculine is to give. And so if he's sitting back jerking himself off, getting off to and doing nothing, like he's literally not putting any real effort into getting some kind of satisfaction and pleasure.
All the hunt, all the pursuit.
There's no genuine serotonin and oxytocin.
Is that how you do it, Daniel?
Yeah. And on top of that,
mentally club.
You throw in the fact that he's probably ashamed of what he's jerking off over too, because you bring in the shame and guilt. I want to, let's just use a simple, not too perverted one, like a threesome. I want 2 women.
Yeah.
He's sitting there jerking off over that, but would never, in what world is that man going to have a partner and go to hey, I'd like to have a threesome with another woman with you?
A healthy, stable longevity partner.
There are people.
Yeah.
There are, but does it work? Yeah.
Well, but yeah, the thing is that he's ashamed that he even feels a desire for that. Like,
Yeah.
what man? Go find a man that doesn't want to have a threesome with 2 women, like a healthy, loving, reciprocal one where everyone walks away happy for it. If a man says they don't want that, I call bullshit. I think you're ashamed to admit that you would enjoy that. Who wouldn't? Like,
I've met men in polyamorous.
Mm.
And you know, at the time it was very new to me, and I thought, oh, this is interesting.
What's that?
Polyamorous. So he had a
Multiple,
fiance
yeah,
and a
partners.
girlfriend at the same time.
Okay.
And the fiance would cook for the girlfriend, and they'd all
They live
Live
together.
sometimes they live
can
together,
be
sometimes they
harmonious, yeah.
don't. But then they're all getting it on with each other. But sometimes it's all together as one or
might
individually
just
as
be the
well.
girls together one night, or him with.
So if he's
Yeah.
tired, he just wants to watch the football or something.
Then Jade, I love when your brain goes
And then the
off.
girls can go
Yeah, right.
shopping together. And he just,
Well, can I tell you, it didn't end well. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't end well.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
you know
Emotions
why?
involved.
Imagine with one partner how quick your traumas come up. Imagine with 2.
Yeah. Triggers.
I can't handle
Yeah.
one.
Imagine if you have insecurity or abandonment issues, and then you
Yeah.
have 2 women not giving you the love that you want. You're like, what the fuck?
Well,
Very quickly.
we decided not to be sexual with each other, this person and I, and we stayed friends. And then I had my little hat on going, you know, you're the victim. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, you're a shit person, Michelle. Get lost, right? Wow. So we actually had a break in communication. And then it was a funny story, but I was literally walking out of the hospital, and my boyfriend had broken up with me, and I was walking out of the hospital. I had to drive myself home, and he rang me out of the blue, and I thought, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Anyways, hey, what are you doing, Michelle? I'm walking out of the hospital, and my boyfriend just broke up with me. He didn't hear the part of me in the hospital. He said, I can't believe you had a boyfriend. Oh, wow. Yeah, and then he said, you were right. You were right. I've been playing the victim my whole entire life. And I said, thank you for calling me. I don't need you to stroke my ego over here. How are you? Are you well? Well, it did not work out with that relationship. You know what I mean? But I was adamant not to have a partner for a very long time. And it was interesting that he only noticed that part of my conversation.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about a person when you say a heavy conversation with multiple points. What they grab on tells you where their bias is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part where we need to continue being curious with ourselves, right? So if you piss me off, Daniel, I ain't going to be like, you're a dick. I'm going to be like, why did I get so upset about that? And I took, like all my therapy, I themed things. And I thought, this is my behavior now. Michelle, why are you acting like this? Rather than pointing the finger, there's 3 really coming back at me. Imagine everybody did that.
I know.
Imagine that.
And that's when you know you're healed.
It will never work.
You know you've healed a trauma when you get curious instead of mad.
Absolutely.
There's a healthy rule to adopt, and it's everyone has a good intention. Even when they're doing something evil, there's usually some good intention or a need they're trying to fulfill to feel love. Yeah. Even when someone's murdering someone, typically they want to feel some form of significance or connection. And
that they were at lack at some point in their lives.
Yeah. And so if we get curious instead of mad, 1, it's a good sign that you've done the work, which you have. Yeah. And 2, it allows for connection, because instead of getting, and again, mad's okay, it's aggressive, it's not okay. So instead of getting aggressive and being like, why the fuck did you do that? You know I don't like that. We go, why did you do that? You know I don't like that.
Yeah.
Then they go, oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You go, oh right, you probably have a trauma. Or you didn't realise, or you were probably, like, it allows us to heal and connect.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking before.
We talk on if you don't know.
on the way here, right? So people don't know how Dan and I met.
Yeah.
Playing volleyball.
At the beach.
She needed a partner.
Shoving the balls down, right? Shoving all the balls down the water.
Oh, you're playing? Oh, I use my ball. I've got trauma.
How many have you got?
Yeah, exactly. A shitload.
Like that, actually.
Dan can share the story.
Whose
of how
balls
we
were
met.
you playing
Was
with?
it Hinge?
I don't know what dating app was. It was a
Probably
dating
the
app.
3 seconds that Vivienne was on a dating app, because
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
even
yeah,
known
yeah.
you to go on there for like a hot flash, right?
I was out of a relationship for about 6 months, and then it was obviously that time. I'm just like, how the hell am I going to meet someone?
Bump our tires.
All
back
right,
up.
I might as well succumb to this dating app business.
She wore her
and
pajamas. I said I had hair.
I think that's a brilliant move, wearing pajamas, by the way. Side note.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's
I'm not
so
fucking
cool.
around.
I
We're
would
gonna
never
get to
do it,
connect.
but
If this
anyway.
gets in the way of us connecting, you're not right anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, let's drop the act of trying to fucking always impress each other and put
Yeah.
your best foot forward in the first 10
Come
minutes,
raw,
and then you end up
real
In your
as you
pajamas.
are.
to be a flop anyways, because you're not authentic or honest from day dot. If you don't like me in my pajamas, Not too bad.
Were your
I know you're
pajamas- Was your pajamas lingerie?
I was going to say an easy to
That
come
was
off
funny.
as well. That's what she's
That
doing.
wasn't my intention at
It could have
all.
been a robe and
Yeah, but
lingerie.
if I was
sexy
a
lingerie.
bloke, right, and you know the girl come with her pajamas, like,
Yeah, tell me.
oh,
Wouldn't you think that it's going
Is this
somewhere
good or
else?
bad?
tell me, trauma man, what have I got here?
What are you hiding there, Dan?
What I just say?
Yeah.
Well, I'm picturing pink rabbits for some
Own your
reason
shame,
and slippers.
Dan, let it out.
Yeah.
No, just
Well, this is it. Like, if some woman come over, like an old school person, this is what I mean. It's different now.
well, you know
Like,
why
this is it. Like, you're laughing about it, but some guys are like, she's coming over.
But
What
do you
do I
know-
Does she want to fuck me? She want to fuck me?
Oh, it's
Well,
a nervous
would you
wreck
not
every
think,
time.
Like
I
if a
think
girl rocked up in her pajamas, that
Well, I wouldn't expect
it says
anything.
two things,
I'd
right?
be like,
I'm
this is
ready
cool.
to go,
Yeah,
or I
that's-
give zero fucks
This
of
is-
what you think about me.
This is
Either
it. I'm
ways.
going to tease you, and I'm going to bounce away in my little bunny rabbit underpants.
I should put some
Yeah.
little
She had bunny
things on,
ears
which I
on.
didn't, right? I think the reason why
cooked
I
for it
did
too.
that was to prove just how much the bios were out there on the things, right? If a man didn't write a bio, I wouldn't even read it or match it, right? I got real, not selective, but like real quick at, and anyway, there's another story. But I thought if you are truly saying and what you're saying that I want a woman of natural beauty,
cool.
somebody who doesn't filter their photos, I'm going to rock up. I don't like myself in a picture. I'm
like
okay
that.
with what I look like in real life, right? But if that's what you're saying that you really want, well, come on. I'll be as natural like you just rolled over.
it's a good congruency test.
It
for the
is.
men.
Yeah,
Are you a man of
absolutely.
your word? Are you being honest?
Exactly,
And it's
yeah.
a safety check for you.
Exactly. And can I tell you how quickly, just real quickly, how the date ended? He sat on the couch and he said, Michelle, well, look at me. Who wouldn't want a piece of this? And I thought, oh Jesus, I need to get the fuck out of here. I went to the toilet and I sat on the toilet. I didn't actually go. And I said, Michelle, like, you're not desperate here. We don't need attention, validation. We don't need a cuddle or anything like that. So it was 9 o'clock and I said, I went out back outside. I said, I'm going to go home now because I feel
bed.
sick. I think I lied to him.
Yeah, I'm already there. I need to shower.
And I grabbed my coat and I left and like constantly, said, Michelle, like, what are you doing? You don't need, like, I don't, and that was it.
And he was probably confused. What went wrong?
The next
Probably
day,
was, just gets the fucking tissues out.
He's-
Guarantee.
he was questioning our connect, and I was honest. I said, look, I don't feel it. There's no connection. And he got so angry at me, violently angry at me. I can't fucking believe Michelle. And I said, look, I don't.
Rejection.
Exactly. And
expected
curiosity. And I said to him, I don't feel like you were being honest with your photos and your appearance. Or what are you fucking talking about?
You fucked with him.
If that's how you're acting that early on,
Absolutely. He's just showing you
called
everything
him out.
that you
You
need
called
to
him out
see.
straight
Yeah.
away.
I was a serial
Go
dater by this
next.
stage. I was like a professional. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not wasting
4
my
years.
on and off 4 years, and the amount, like, I could tell you a million dating stories that ghosted and
What
stood
about the
up.
dick pics too? A lot of dick pics. I never do dick pics, man. What's some dick pics? I like some dick pics.
Do you want a dick pic?
No, I don't. But there's a lot of dick pics. I've met girls that just like,
I think it's rude. I think it's
What is
flat
it?
out rude.
It's-
disrespectful.
Yeah,
It's very
What is it?
disrespectful.
Yeah.
Some women like it, some women don't, right? But if you're going to offer that, ask for my permission.
Even
Yeah.
women
Stop.
that like it, it's after a certain point of connections established where or there's an attraction there to the guy.
Absolutely.
And it's
Not straight
very-
off the bat.
No,
No,
way.
no, it's-
Yuck, I don't.
It's like yeah, there's a whole rabbit hole I can go down
You
there,
think
but
that-
it's
I know
gross at the
there's
end
a lot
of the
of
day.
rabbit holes.
Like all women get when there's a partner or a man. Yes, you get attracted and you want them, but there's a threshold that has to be crossed for certain things to happen. Like if you try to have sex straight off the bat without any foreplay, a lot of the time it's not as pleasurable. Build up. You don't just go from 0 to dick pic.
But see, all right, so
Like-
this comes back again to say
Or
that
dick pic at all,
addiction to
really.
porn, right? And this
see, I've seen some weird ones.
addiction to
Like, that's a good
porn
one.
and how they're putting no effort whatsoever. And this is the same thing,
It's like, I'll
right?
just
It's
get
just
it.
like, oh, let
You
me
want
just
this.
see who's going to bite to this, I'm like, let me send them my
Bite's
dick.
a very appropriate rude word there.
And
Just sending a dick pic, who's gonna buy?
Yeah.
But it's just like, like the psychology, I'm just like, what goes through a
Yeah.
guy's head to think that that's okay?
Because they watch too much porn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They
To,
don't-
watch-
they don't go
to
out
think that
to
that's
hunt the
okay.
woman.
Like, at what point do you get
even
to where
even
you think
somewhat
that that's
groom,
okay?
Yeah.
right? To
Yes.
like get to
Pretty
know
easygoing.
someone or to like first base, second base, caress,
there's
whatever.
no-
It's just hello.
Yeah.
This is my
straight in.
dick.
This is what we're gonna do. Emotionless. Let's just do it. And this is what.
But that's okay if that's what you want. If your agenda is a transactional relationship, that's totally fine. Be honest though.
Communicate it, right?
Communicate it. You're on Tinder. Everybody says Tinder's a fuckfest and whatever.
What do you call it? Yeah, situation.
That's okay.
That's brewing if that's what everyone's going there for.
That's right. That's what you like. You know. But again, Tinder's not the problem. You not being honest with your agenda,
Clear with
or
your
intentions.
Yeah.
On this dating app is the problem. So don't blame Tinder and Bumble and. You guys were successful, clearly.
Yeah, but I've always called it out. I've never, I said leave a review at the back of the door. You know what I mean? No.
Is that what you...
No.
So why did you match with Daniel?
Why did I match with him?
Why did you?
I don't know.
I
thought about this when on the way here.
Here we go.
You've never told me this story.
No, I didn't.
Wait a second. You
So
mentioned it too,
obviously I was 6 months out of a relationship and thought I'll get back out there and talking to all these, obviously different guys. And, that's great to boost your ego. I'm just like, I'm putting myself out there. I'm getting all this attention, chatting to all these guys. No one's doing shit. It's just, here we are having a nice conversation. Great. When are you going to ask me out? And then Dan asked me out.
We just talked.
So you
he was pretty.
Stimulated brain.
He was pretty instant with his, hey, do you want to go and grab a drink?
Yeah.
And that was it. That's all that I
And
wanted.
that's
Someone
it.
to take action
Yeah,
and
That's it.
I was gonna
do
say,
something.
That would have been so attractive for you.
It
Being in
was
a sea
very-
of men, all this attention would have been beautiful, and two of you to the point going, hold on, this is all lip service. And then a man comes
I
along and
love
actually
that
puts
word.
direction and structure and movement behind
Yeah.
it. Again, because the masculine energy is direction. When women get direction and movement, they go, oh my God, now I can embrace my power.
Absolutely. And it was very, very quick. I don't know how many conversations we had. And
3
it was
hours
like-
and then meeting.
and then next minute we're meeting. So,
And lip service, and to me, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not a man, but I always, I've got clients in front of me and they're younger and older and all this kind of stuff. And I was with a younger girl today, she's 16, and I always say to her, don't believe a man's lips, but believe his actions.
I could not agree more with that. Look, never look at what someone says or listen to what someone says. Look at what they do.
Yeah.
100%. And men, that's their method of
Expression.
manipulating a woman.
Yeah.
They will lie. Women will make themselves look different. Men will lie. They will
women
sound
wear
different.
makeup, men lie.
Yeah. Essentially, there's a saying out there, and I hope I don't know if I remember it well, but it's like women believe what they hear, and men believe what they see.
Yeah.
So women wear makeup to lie, men use words to lie. And it's if we drop both and just communicate, we'd save a lot of heartache and there'd be a lot less trauma.
Yeah.
And a lot of the process elimination, like for younger generations dating, right? Because they go through this whole dating process and we all want to get quicker at it. And like, maybe that's why some people with those intentions just throwing the dick pics out and things like that. And I was trying to find this real quick process of like, I by then you got really good at knowing what you wanted, you know what I mean? But are we bypassing the enjoyment of getting to know each other or we're just not being honest? We're not being honest with each other.
Both, yeah,
a little bit of both.
And to go back to women too, women have got to be careful and protect themselves because men have gotten smart at knowing what to say and how to say it too. Because of, like, a lot of women have dropped the bar of what it takes for a man to get what they want from them. Like, it's become a bit more normal and acceptable for a woman to just go, oh, it's just sex, do this, I'll let him in, but it's a shit guy that they do later regret. And had they have just maybe held the bar out a bit further, the man never would have been able to reach in the first place. Yeah. And it's time, there's no substitute for other than time. I mean, experience certainly helps and you can pick things earlier on. And like you said, 4 years of the dating app, it got very quick at going, I'm leaving now, this is going to be a waste of my time. Yeah. But time is a thing because every relationship has 3 stages. It used to just be the relationship stages, but I've realized it's every relationship and it's, you see their public life in the first stage, which is the honeymoon phase. It's where you see their highlight reel. You see, like you said, thought it was a god. No doubt, we all have that God side of us, but we also have the human side of us, right? And then very quickly you go, oh, you're a human too. You have the shit side. And that's when you start seeing or entering the second stage of relationship, which is the power struggle. And that's where our private life comes out. So you get to see more of the real you that people who don't get close never see. Because we see what you say, but over enough time, you always see what people do. And typically there's some level of divergence between the two. So eventually with time, you see if their actions match their words.
Yep.
Typically, 99% of the time, you see to some degree they don't.
Yeah.
And it's at that point you see the real them, and it's at that point you can decide, is this a healthy relationship to have? Unfortunately, though, we're usually too deep in.
Yeah, 3 years.
And so,
usually, what could be a year,
well,
3
honeymoon,
years.
honeymoon
2
phase
years.
is 3
6
months
months
up
could
to 2-3 years. Yeah. The honeymoon phase of a relationship ends. It's different for everyone because of one reason. It's not a time thing, it's a commitment thing. The honeymoon phase in any relationship ends when we begin to see the more private life and the real them come out when major commitment ensues. And major commitment's either like a child, moving together, marriage, starting to actually save for a house sometimes. Like that's enough of a commitment for people where they go, oh shit, and then they start seeing more, they start revealing more of their traumas and things pop up because we're comfortable now.
And you think if those healed parts aren't of the trauma healed, then they start self-sabotaging.
Yeah, so it's a second stage. So we can have every trauma under the sun. Like I could be the most traumatized person, but if we're dating, 6 months in, you still think I'm perfect. You're only seeing my public life still, and it's very easy for me to match my actions and words.
Yeah.
But it's once I feel there's a form of commitment to you or you to me that there's something about it that where our body drops the infatuation drugs, the oxytocin, serotonin, is not automatically produced anymore. And now we're left with nothing but us and no drugs dosing us up. And we begin to go, hold on, where's this love? Oh, it's an act now. I need to do love. I don't just fucking have love. Or we don't just have it. And it's then that we go, hold on, why didn't you take the trash out for me? Because I've asked you for 6 months straight and you had no problem doing it. Now when I ask you, got the shits with me because I'm not drugged up doing it, because it's the equivalent of having a joint and mushrooms and a bit of cocaine every time. That's why we do it. Not because I'm devoted to you or because I'm a man of high moral value who thinks the man should do the work in the relationship in that regard for the woman. Like, for example, me, and again, I say it at risk of sounding misogynistic here, I wanted my woman to want to be a homekeeper and to want to cook for me, and I want to go be the breadwinner. And she wants it too. She also wants to be the breadwinner too, funnily enough. But we have this beautiful balance. And you can imagine if she lied, if she didn't really want that, after the honeymoon phase ends, if she stopped wanting to keep the house like she was, I'd very quickly go, what's going on here? She's like, oh, no, I don't want to really do it. It's like, oh, now it requires effort. You're not just doing it by default because it's easy, because of the drugs.
Yeah.
You're not doing it now because it requires effort. Therefore, there's not real love. And what it comes back to, and I think to try and tie this back to some lesson, particularly for women, is we've got to have a set of values or principles which men have to meet that criteria to decide. And if we do that early on, it saves you getting 6 months in to see the real
boundaries, setting
standards.
Yeah.
Communication, honesty, boundaries.
And that all comes back to being honest, not just with them, but with yourself first. Like, what do I really want as a woman? And it's okay to have high standards, and it's okay to...
But my question is, sorry to cut you off also, but how do you stop the, junkie per se of two people meeting each other and we've got all this, sexual chemistry and we're super attracted to each other and now we're junkies, right? Because we're chemically induced
infatuated
and
with each
infatuated.
Yeah.
And it's just so intense.
Yeah.
How would you navigate that to be like, hey, I want a relationship and you also want a relationship, right? Now we're into each other.
I think that this is where the whole conversation around with abstaining from actually having sex with the person, because I think that when we meet someone and you're attracted and again having all these chemical reactions, we're going to jump into bed quite quickly with them. And then there's this thing going around for women, don't sleep with them for 3 months if you're dating someone.
The problem with that is men nowadays, because they have it so easy on Tinder and if that was a collective decision of women, I 100%, it's not that I disagree with it, I don't believe that would work, because you might do that, but then these 3 other women are just going to hand it over hand and fist, and what could have been a healthy relationship because you held out.
But at the same time, right, a woman has to then decide, is that a kind of, for me, you saying that, that's not the man for me.
100%.
You know what? No, I don't want a man like that. If you can't abstain and have a relationship and actually get to know each other without that, well then I don't want you.
Well, how does it happen though? See, it's a thing.
But the problem is, I agree, that's 100% true. The issue is, without looking at it individualistically, but generally, the issue is men, or there's a collective belief system, or there's a collective meme that is the easier way. So men don't have this. Men need accountability. Women are great at being able to hold men to standards. There's that saying, behind every good man there's a better woman. And I largely believe in that. I wouldn't say better, but like it just as an incredible woman, if not better, because a woman can take a man from a boy to a king. And we used to have this situation where we had all these incredible women that would shame men, and men would be like, oh shit, I should do that. And we had like someone to want to impress, we had someone to want to contribute to. Whereas just, I think over the last 20, 30 years, from what I can gather and like all these conversations I've had, the standards on men have been dropped, and women too have gone from wanting to be very conservative to gaining more rights, which we've absolutely needed. Like it needs to be an equal playing field. But with that has come this very relaxed set of standards, and we've ended up at this situation where women who go, actually, you know, I have standards and values, meet it. Men don't show up to the table. Whereas we if we could ideally in a dream scenario have all women do that, like that wanted it for themselves, and men would be left with no other choice to go, fuck, we better step up. Because and it's
but
not
it's
that
not
we should
happening
need
collectively, you're saying. So it's like,
so we need men to not, like, that shouldn't have to happen. That shouldn't have to be the catalyst. Men should just fucking step up and want women of value. But it's weird because here's the dichotomy or the issue with it is men want women to be ready to sleep with them at the drop of a hat. You know, they want to be able to go on a million dates and sleep with a million women. But then when they settle down, they're like, oh, I want my conservative, loving, loyal woman.
Traditional woman.
High value woman,
so
right?
you can't have both. You can't expect women to be one way, but then another way when you want it.
That's the problem.
So how do men fix
That is
this?
the problem.
Men need
It is.
to...
That's
But
society
see,
stuff.
men think that they deserve a traditional woman to have these certain values, but
Without
they're
being
going out there porn addicted, going out to strip joints, doing all these things, but then they expect a traditional woman
Yeah. And what
to take care of them. But then on the flip side, you have women who think they have earned the right to high value men, and they're fucking around and like, I'm sorry, but these younger generation now, the body counts and stuff, like it is just horrendous. Like,
I think
you know, they're
because
just
of
so
their
proud of
outside-
like going and sleeping around with 20 million
So how
fucking
can they
men.
find a
And it's just,
valuable woman, like a young man these days?
no, but they then expect
Yeah.
to have a man of certain stature and wealth to take care of them, and think that they've earned that privilege just because they're a woman and they've got their boobs done and they look fucking fantastic, you know, and they've got youth on their side. And I'm just like, women think that they've earned it, men think that they deserve it, and it's all
It's all fucked up.
It's like a lock and key thing, you know, like a lock that, you know, a lot of keys can unlock. It's not a good lock. Is that what you're saying? You know what I mean? Like
I think that's...
it goes back to traditions. Like, I'll go to my grandparents. Like, my grandfather supported his wife because it's like that's what she needed. It was during the war, like a man to protect, gather. So she looked after the house and treated him like a man. Just didn't serve him in an arrogant way. Just looked after him, put the plates down, just did her thing, and it worked. You know.
But it was a very different
But that's
time,
what-
right? So women had their place, as you know, like say your grandmother's time, right? They had their place. They took care of the home. They didn't go out and work, right? They stayed at home. They took care of the home. They took care of the children. They took care of the husband. The husband went out and he provided.
needed the man.
So when you think about these values, and now in today's society, in 2024, people are wanting the same kind of values, but it's totally different. You know, the playing field's totally changed. Where women, all right, say for women want a provider, a man to provide. What does that mean these days? When women are going out, and some women are earning more money than men. How are you providing? What are you providing?
Yeah.
Because it's not just financial. That's not what providing means to a lot of women now. Like for both Michelle and I, we're very independent women. We're, all right, okay, what are you bringing to the table? How are you going to provide for me? And it is not financially. That's not what we expect from men.
And especially when we don't need to procreate anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we've been
we
there,
don't need
done that. Tick, kids are done.
You girls can go get a baby and do whatever you want. You know?
Yeah.
I already got 2 beautiful babies.
Yeah.
I'm good, right?
Yeah.
You can.
We've done our part in reproducing, you know, for
So
the
we
for
work
the world.
for ourselves. We're, you know, boss babes and whatever, and we can do our own thing. We look after ourselves. We can, you know, like the safety is in our homes. We look after ourselves, right? And I've had an example of this. I've had men going, you know, I don't want a boss babe or anything like that. And then I'm like, oh, well, then you're happy for me to pay that $350 bill. Totally fine. So what exactly do you want from me? You know what I mean? I can't be too independent, right? I need you to feel like that I need you somewhat, but when I am trying to step up and I am being masculine because you're surely shit as not, you want me to come and cover the bill because I can.
Here's the interesting thing about
But what the fuck am I don't know what to do.
Who needs you?
men are to blame here, for sure. Like women, for example, in your situation, you say you have to enter your masculine to a degree, right? Like you're confident, grounded women who have had, and the way the economy is too, like you kind of had to look after yourself. You had to provide safety and certainty for yourself,
being a single
right?
woman for so
Single
long,
mothers,
like we have to be mum and dad in my house,
100%.
right? By our own choices, whether we're leaving DV or we're leaving what's going on.
A lot of women are put in the position of being more masculine because we have no choice. It's survival.
We have no choice, that's right.
It's survival.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to be in our masculine. But, we're at a stage in our lives, and we can only talk about ourselves and
that's
our own
right.
experience, that we want to be in our feminine.
Yeah. But to do that, you need a man that makes it safe to do so. And that's
Definitely.
the problem. We have these men who go, what men don't understand is a woman will always fall into her feminine. It's the natural state. You pick a scorpion up, you cannot be pissed that it stings you. The frog's going to swim in water. A bird's going to fly. A woman is going to fall into a feminine when a man falls into his masculine or leans into his masculine. The problem is men don't know how to fucking do that. So you have women like yourselves who are loving, who want to find a man to commit to and want to probably give a lot of these traditional values too, because you know what it means for you and how freeing and loving it is, and you're sick of having to fucking sort all this shit out.
Oh, we are. I'm telling you, we are truly sick and tired of being masculine.
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's something that you said, Dan, to me that really, it really landed. He goes, "You're such a giver." I swear to God, that...
No, she didn't wear a strap on.
No.
She did, yeah.
I did
I'm
not.
not like that. I don't like it around the waist. I like it bang in there like that. Get in there. Okay, too far.
No.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, something landed for me when he said that, because I am a very giving person with my friends, with anyone that comes into my life. But when it comes to intimacy and being a giver, I get pleasure out of that. But then, for whatever reason, it just penny dropped, and I was just like, I'm in my fucking masculine.
Told you.
Because women, submissive, receivership. We should be in receivership, right? Receiving from the man. And here I am fucking giving all this stuff to the man.
Funnily
Holy shit, it's just like,
here's the
all right, fuck that. I'm not giving anymore.
I'm going to wear a dress today.
and here's the pattern. A lot of women end up in the masculine in that position, and it's actually end up being the givers because, again, you adopt masculine energy, it bleeds into other areas of your life as well. So probably for the first time, being able to stop and actually go, hold on, I can receive here. It's a new thing, and it hits so powerfully, and it allows you to, I guess, be different for a change. But you need the right man to show up to allow for that to happen.
Absolutely, because you know what? If you're going to give, what's going to happen? They're going to take anyone in any situation in life. If you give, people just take.
It's like they say the abuser needs someone to be abused, or the person abused eventually, inevitably, until they hear that trauma, needs an abuser as well.
Yeah.
And it's until that cycle's broken and there becomes a healthy give-take relationship, like reciprocity, someone always ends up with more and someone less.
So I can't blame the other person and say, well, you just fucking kept taking and taking. It's just like, I've got to look at myself, and I'm just like, I'm the one giving. And then it's like, I'm the one that has to set boundaries now and go,
No.
And sometimes there's a self-worth trauma as to why am I still giving to someone that's not giving back? And if we dig and find that and heal that, we find that these people stop showing up for us as well. Or we stop letting them in because we see it. We go, hold on, I know that pattern. Fuck off.
And that's what's beautiful. I mean, this is what I love about Dan and I's relationship, because we have been, intimate, and things, obviously didn't evolve into anything, but look where we are.
I know.
It's just...
Doesn't have to.
But,
Exactly.
It's like, piss off now, I'm done with you.
No, but this
There's more to it.
But I think that this is the problem with everyone. Even meeting you tonight, Clayton, it's just like we meet certain people in our life for a reason. I believe that.
Everyone. Not certain, everyone.
Everyone that comes into your field within your life is for a reason. And whether we are willing to kind of see, you know, we're students and teachers in life, you know, like I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. And if we just see each other like that. And so things might not have worked out romantically for us, but there was something else.
Yeah.
You know, Dan contacted me like 10 months. We hadn't spoken for 10 months, maybe nearly a year. And then he just contacts me out of the blue.
Yeah.
But he never did anything to me. I just seen that, you know, obviously we're
Because I was honest.
not compatible, but it's just like our lives are just very
That's how it
different.
works.
You know, we had a great
Yeah.
connection. I've always
Yeah.
kind of respected Dan. And it's just like if we could all kind of see people like that. But we're moving from our traumas, we're moving from our pains and hurts, and we experience love with someone and then we don't get what we want, the expectation, right, out of that person, and then we freaking hate on them. And it's just like, but you loved that person, you cared for them.
Yeah.
Like my ex-husband, he like destroyed my heart, right? Like ripped it up into a million pieces when my marriage ended. But I will always honor him for who he was for me and how he actually was one of the greatest catalysts to the change in my life. You know, biggest transformations. And that's how I like to view every person that comes into my life.
You don't have to end it bad. It doesn't have to end.
But this is the
just
problem.
have
Yeah,
to
I
end
speak to
things,
so
though,
many
and get
people that,
angry,
you know,
what I mean?
moving
Like-
from this trauma and hurt, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, fuck him, you know, he did this and that.
Yeah, well,
And I just hear the pain when I
Yeah.
hear people talk like that.
I get it. And if relationships ending, what you just said there is so telling. You still have a form of love for him and you can appreciate what the relationship was and what it brought. Whereas most people see a past relationship for the few negative things that came out of it that led to it ending, and that's all they remember. And it's such a fucking waste
It is
because,
such a waste.
like, my ex, I left an 8-year-long relationship. How stupid and naive and dumb would it be to not look at that and try to at least make it a friendship?
Yeah.
Or something I can lean on and still remember all the good times. It's 8 years of your life that you've just dumped and are no better because of either. Like, that relationship didn't end, it completed. And as a result, I'm now better because of it, and I can go even better into the next relationship. And if you are walking away from a relationship blaming and hating, I think to whatever degree that emotional baggage and trauma you have in you, that has a magnetic field and that's going to pull more of its kind into it. And you'll taint the new relationship with that. So that, like, you've done your future partner so much service by being able to be at peace with your past relationship and have exponentially increased the likelihood of it being right and not attracting someone that's going to do more of the same. It's more people need to be aware of that. If they're still pointing the finger at their ex, there's something there that they've typically got to do or heal or sort out.
It's very true.
So apart from that and porn, we're pretty fucked, like you said.
No, we're all fucked. That's what
Yeah,
I
they're all
said. There's no difference.
We're just
on these
human, you
tables.
know, like that's it. We're just human beings, and we're all trying to navigate life the best way that we can. And you know, hopefully conversations like this and what you're doing and how you're being of service, you know, having these conversations to then allow for other people to hear and then not feel so separated or alone in their kind of like way of thinking, just going, all right, I'm fucked up. They said that we're all fucked up and it's okay.
Because
you know,
there's
nothing
trapped
wrong
doing
with
the
it.
same thing every day.
Yeah.
I've had a man come to me and say, I'm flawed, Michelle. And I said,
That probably would have been attractive, but I'm like, oh, tell me.
I
Tell me
didn't
what.
flinch.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
so, all right,
run.
so-
It was
but
like, tell
that's-
me something that is that's not scary for me. You know what I mean? Because you're not special if you're flawed or if you got trauma.
All right, but this
These
is
days, you are not special for that aspect at all. If you do something about it, then you're special, right?
this is a problem with a lot of men, that they need to be a certain way
Yes.
to enter a relationship. I need to be
Healed.
healed so much, or I need to have all my ducks in a row. Right? The men are renowned for this, right?
Yeah.
Until then, I'm not going to get into a relationship. And so that right person could have come along and you could have navigated and moved through life together, figuring it out. But no, men are just like, reject that because, no, I don't have all my
own
ducks
it.
in a row.
Yeah.